Esports isn't exactly the first thing you think about when people talk about crimes. I mean, we have the smoke criminal.
What's up, bitch?
But what about like actual esports crimes? Today we're looking at some of the most underhanded deeds in esports that put members of the community on a collision course with the law. While we won't be looking at cheating or physical confrontation, there is a whole bunch of other stuff to cover. White collar stuff.
You stop with the hat? Come on, let's go.
But before that, do you know what else is criminal? Not being subscribed to the channel. So before we get to it, I need you to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. Do it, and you won't end up behind bars. Wait, can I say that? It was just a joke. I'm not, you're fine. Starcraft esports was a national phenomenon in South Korea. When something gets that big, there are going to be people trying to exploit that popularity for personal gain, even if that means breaking laws. In 2010, 11 Korean players were banned from competition for participating in a scheme where they were compensated by betting sites for throwing games in Starcraft Brood War tournaments. They also faced punitive measures like jail time, fines, and probation. This was back in 2010, way before the modern expansion of esports, but it was a big enough deal that the BBC ended up paying attention. Back then, they wrote that Starcraft esports represented 70% of Korea's esports industry. But even so, the salaries these players were pulling in back then weren't enough to keep them away from shady deals. Hwasin, one of the banned players, even said that when he went to serve his mandatory Korean military service after the ban, both his fellow grunts and his commanding officers knew about what he had done and treated him accordingly. But the story doesn't end there, because in 2015, Starcraft had another match-fixing scandal. Starcraft players Yoda, Pong, and Gerard were discovered, arrested by police, and banned. The Korean Esports Association was already conducting their own investigation when the players were brought in by the Changwon Regional Prosecutor's Service. But the scandal stretched into 2016 as well, when Pyong and fan favorite Life also facing lifetime exclusion for match-fixing.
So he is literally responsible for StarCraft 2 dying in South Korea. And this is why I don't understand how can people support him, because he did insane amounts of damage to our community.
Life was sentenced to 18 months of jail time, a fine of $57,000, and was suspended for 3 years. His appeal for leniency was dismissed. Crime never pays, and match fixing, well, it never really works out. Trust us. Far from the bright lights, million-dollar venture capital funding announcements, and major automotive sponsorships lives the humble fighting game community. In basements, ballrooms, arcades, and game shops across the world, the FGC has always kept it real. But in a scene that lives within its means, there are games that bring in a bigger prize pool and those that don't.
On left side is the International 2019, Fortnite World Cup Finals 2019, PUBG Championship 2019, and then EVO all time. The fact that it's all time and still less than half of what PUBG posted in 1 year.
The Dead or Alive series has a dedicated fan base, and some of the games sold well for home consoles. But trying to play the game full-time as a job isn't exactly lucrative. Tomoyoki Katsununkin Inui was the 2005 World Cyber Games Dead or Alive Ultimate Champion. But in 2019, he was brought in by authorities and confessed to over 100 burglaries in Tokyo over a 3-year period. He apparently told police that his decision to turn to crime was partly because Dead or Alive had dropped off and it was difficult to pay the bills playing the game. Maybe the game will make a huge comeback one day, but until then, my guy, burglary cannot be the answer. In 2013, we mercifully didn't have to constantly hear about how cryptocurrency can cure cancer, terraform Mars, and solve global poverty. But we did have to contend with something else: ESEA's client trying to hijack our rigs to mine it. Yeah, that's right. In late April 2013, after some wild ups and downs in the value of Bitcoin, the ESEA client used computers that had it installed to mine the cryptocurrency for a couple of weeks until the scam was revealed. After some pretty tasteless initial responses from ESEA's co-founder, it was blamed on an unnamed rogue employee and also on an abortive April Fool's joke. This was another story that hit national media in multiple countries. The total value mined was around $3,700, depending on the source and day you checked. ESCA said they donated the coins along with a matching dollar donation of the same amount to the American Cancer Society. And to answer your next question, after doing some quick napkin math with the stated total value and the historical value of Bitcoin, it looks like it was somewhere in the 30 Bitcoin range, which would be worth about $1.2 million today. Holy shit. Can drugs make you better at esports? Well, there hasn't been a lot of concrete scientific study on this idea, but with the prize pools and the pressure to be the best continuing to grow, it is no surprise that players are willing to try something to get an edge. Adderall, typically prescribed to treat ADHD and ADD, is allegedly a lot of players' performance-enhancing drug of choice. Its amphetamine-fueled hyperfocus was already a popular and illegal, if not prescribed, study aid, and it felt like to some it provided a level of competitive advantage in esports. While there always had been whispers of the drug's effect on competition, it really came to a head in 2015 when CSGO pro Semphis gave an interview to Launders where he claimed that all of Cloud9 was using Adderall at an ESCA LAN.
The ESL comms were kind of funny, in my opinion. I don't even care. We were all on Adderall. Like, I don't even give a like, it was pretty obvious, like, if you listen to the comms, like, I don't know, people can hate it or whatever.
Everyone does Adderall at ESCA LAN, right?
Yeah.
The Esports Integrity Commission stepped up to the plate to test players for these substances at CSGO events. But other esports had their own scandals, like when Hugh admitted in 2021 he had been battling an Adderall addiction during his Call of Duty career.
But basically, I won champs and I didn't really feel good on the inside. Of course, I was very grateful for winning. It showed that we worked hard and, we got the win. I felt good about that. But, those couple of days afterwards, I didn't feel good. And it was mainly because of one thing. I, at the time, was taking Adderall.
While no esports player, to our knowledge, has been convicted of drug offenses relating to Adderall, it is a crime to sell it or use it without a prescription in the United States. Used improperly, it can lead to dependency and other serious health problems. Remember, kids, winners don't use drugs. In 2015, the CSGO skin gambling ecosystem was frankly out of control. There were countless websites dedicated to skin gambling, with more popping up seemingly every day. But for some people who had already large followings, it wasn't enough to start a website in an unregulated market where the odds were stacked against the players. Enter content creators T. Martin and Pro Syndicate, who started CSGO Lotto, a gambling site, and began to promote it to their fans without the information that they owned it.
Oh, baby, yes, it just flipped for me. Holy cow, let's go. And we found this new site called CSGO Lotto. So I'll link it down in the description if you guys want to check it out. But we were betting on it today and I won a pot of like $69 or something like that. So it's a pretty small pot, but it was like the coolest feeling ever.
So I found this app. Yeah, I just came across this app, linked in the description and all that.
Found this new site.
YouTuber Honor the Call accused them of owning part of CSGO Lotto and faking their reactions to their wins that, as owners, they could have been guaranteeing.
So, T. Martin and Pro Syndicate visit a CSGO gambling site called CSGOLotto.com. I did some digging into this and holy shit balls. This site was registered as a business in Orlando, Florida. I thought it's just a coincidence since T. Martin also lives in Orlando. But no, it wasn't. Trevor Martin, aka T. Martin, is the director of this site. He owns the damn site.
After claiming the ownership hadn't been a secret, T. Martin got on the radar of the US Federal Trade Commission and issued and then retracted a now iconic apology.
All right, guys, so I'm gonna try to make this as short and sweet as possible. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but first and foremost, I do want to say that I love you guys.
Valve found themselves in the government's crosshairs too, leading them to send out cease and desist letters to gambling sites that use the Steam API. In the end, CSGO Lotto was shut down, T. Martin and Pro Syndicate got let off with a slap on the wrist and promised to never do it again. Okay, so no one went to jail in the last entry, but that's not the case with this one. In fall of 2021, a Twitch data breach revealed that some of the streamers in Turkey were receiving unusually large donations of bits, the platform's currency used for donations by viewers. Estimates from Turkish news sources claim that nearly $10 million have been laundered over 2 years via 2,400 streamers.
So the scam is these people steal credit cards. They contact a Twitch streamer and they say, listen, I'm gonna pay you $1,000. I'm gonna cheer $1,000 with this stolen credit card, okay? And then you are going to take the $1,000 and you're gonna give me, 70% of that, $700, 80% of that, $800, you know what I mean? And you're gonna give me back $800, and then you just made for free, basically, for helping me do this scam and clean this money, you are going to make $300, $200, depending on how much it is.
In some cases, streamers said that they were pressured to agree to the scheme or else they would receive a huge donation that was sure to be noticed by Twitch as suspicious given the relative size of their channel. Then in January, police in Turkey made arrests, putting 40 people behind bars. Like the previous entry also shows, if you have something that can act like a currency on your platform, people with an eye for profit will find a way to abuse it.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the streamers actually knew legit straight up that this was a scam or not. If I got an email like that, I'm like, this is a goddamn scam. I would never respond to an email like that, like in a million years. It's insane.
We started this video with a discussion on Korean match fixing, and we're going to end it with something to watch out for in the future. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is looking into CSGO match fixing in cooperation with ESIC.
There has been, amongst a relatively small but significant group of players over a long period of time, organized match fixing in North American MDL.
That confirmation came in an interview with Slash32 over a year ago. But at that time, ESIC Commissioner Ian Smith noted that the FBI's gambling team was newly formed and that it would be some time before results could be expected.
And it's been going on for longer. It's much more organized. So and again, to some extent, working with law enforcement with the FBI, who only recently have had a sports betting investigative unit within the FBI.
A lot of the allegations center around players in the MDL, some of whom have already faced the consequences for match fixing, but others are allegedly retired from CSGO and playing Valorant now.
There are a lot of rumors from the Counter-Strike days around match fixing in the MDL. I'm wondering if that concerns the team right now, if any of you guys are thinking about that in terms of players on the team, roster changes, and so on.
We're ignoring this question.
What a question.
We're ignoring this
That was
question.
a
What a
terrible
question. We're ignoring it. We're good on that one.
We've said this before, but when the FBI is involved, shit's gotten real. There we have it, some homegrown esports criminality. I'm sure those won't be the last crimes committed, but if we missed one, let us know down in the comment sections below. Keep it clean, and I'll see you in the next one. If I'm being taken away in cuffs, I'm looking good while doing it. Like, oh, be in the news, just be like, hey. Also, I just wouldn't commit crimes. It's not hard to be an honest person. Fun fact. Is that mean? That's not mean, just be nice, be normal. I don't know, don't commit crimes. I think it's so funny people want to commit crimes in esports because you act like there's any privacy on the internet. You think no one's gonna find out?